Hi, Elle Ingalls here. Hi, Bret. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago. I'm a performance coach. I've worked with some hockey players, young hockey players, and going straight from high school into St. Cloud. Now we've got juniors going on, and I wondered if you could just share because I know Tag works with athletes too. Some of the juniors I've worked with, one went to Ferris, one went to MSU, but then I see boys fall through the cracks because they have to leave home and they're in strange cities and they get traded all around and there's so much that they aren't really prepared for. So I wonder if you could just share a bit about your perspective of rather than going straight from high school into college, they've got these juniors now.
I think I think with the right help with these kids that have that intermediary of high school before they get the chance to go and be a 20-year-old freshman in college, which I think is really great in some respect, because I think at 18, when I graduated high school, at 17, 18, and then I go to as a freshman in college, I probably mentally, physically, I wasn't really ready to take that next step. So having a year or two in junior would have been great. Now, in those intermediary years, I think for somebody like you that can help coach these kids and understand, there's three things that I ended up learning about who I was as a player. And this could be applied to business as well. We call it our ABCs. And if you ever to ask these athletes or even people on this call, if you were to close your eyes and say, hey, what does it look like when you play your best or you're at your best in your work? You can close your eyes. You can see yourself in those moments of what you look like when you're at your best. And what these kids could understand about those years in between high school and potentially college, and the reps that they could start to begin to understand and do for themselves, is get a really clear idea of what is it, those three things that make you unique and great at what you do. Write them down, write them out clearly so you can see them on paper. And every time over those next couple of years, as you're going through that transition of getting ready to be a college athlete, you start to, every time you have self-doubt, you pull out that piece of paper and you read it. These are the three things that I do great when I'm at my best. And over time, over the course of these repetitions that you'll do, is you'll start to, you won't need that piece of paper after some time. It becomes very clear about who you are as a player and as a person. And when you walk in that locker room, you're going to have a lot more confidence in yourself. You're not going to try to be somebody you're not. You're going to lean into those three things that you are. And that's something I had to learn through repetition and continual repetition over years. You can't just think that these mental reps, it's like going into the weight room for the very first day and your new trainer that you're paying $200 an hour for says, here, I'm going to put 225 pounds on the bench press. That's 245 plumb plates on the side. And I want you to do a one rep max. Guess what's going to happen to that bar as you pull it off? It's going to collapse on you. But if you start to go to the gym every day for the next year, do you think you could lift that weight? No. How about year 2? No. Year 3, year 4, year 5, probably year 7 or 8, you might be able to finally lift that bar off the rack and pull it down and start to move it forward. So I think mental reps, what we don't understand a lot of times, and what I had to learn in pro sports, is that mental reps are almost, well, they're equal. They're 1-to-1. If you do a physical rep, you got to think about the mental rep is equal to it. And over time, you start to get stronger and stronger. So great that you're working with young athletes. Help them understand what they look like when they're at their best. Have them write down their top things that they're great at and physically write it out on a piece of paper where they can pull it out of their pocket and remind themselves when they have that self-doubt, when they have a tough game, when they have a good game. I think that's important, is the good and the bad, right? These two things eventually should cancel each other out because neither one of them are going to help you. The only thing that's left when you have a good, something positive or something negative that happens, it's you. You're in the middle of that with your ABCs, the three things that who you stand for. And when you can rely on that and do enough repetitions long term, you become somebody that I say it becomes untouchable.
Nice. Thank you. I love that assessment too, along with the MOB. And I got 3 things going: humility, MOB, assessment. It's been great. Thanks, Bret.
You're welcome.